There was a time when I believed my life was a carefully woven tapestry of love, trust, and stability. I had everything a man could ask for: a devoted wife, Lisa, who had been my partner for years, two beautiful daughters, Jen and Brooke, who filled our home with laughter, and a house that always felt warm with the love of a family. I cherished these moments, thinking they were the foundation of an unshakable bond. But beneath this seemingly perfect exterior, cracks had already begun to form, silent, creeping fractures that would soon shatter everything I held dear. At first, the changes were subtle, so much so that I dismissed them as minor fluctuations in the rhythm of married life. Lisa started coming home later than usual, her excuses always wrapped in the pressures of work. Her once affectionate demeanor grew distant, replaced by a cold attachment that unsettled me. I wanted to believe it was just stress, that perhaps I had neglected to notice how overwhelmed she felt. But something about the way she avoided my touch, the way she lost herself in her phone with secrecy she had never before displayed, made the pit in my stomach grow heavier. My daughters, too, seemed different. Jenna and Brooke had always been open and expressive, their thoughts spilling freely like an open book. But suddenly, their laughter became guarded, their conversations whisper soft when I walked into the room. At first, I thought they were just growing up, learning the art of keeping secrets as all teenagers do. But there was something else. Furtive glances exchanged between them, shared looks that spoke volumes yet told me nothing. I felt like an outsider in my own home, the walls closing in with a suffocating sense of isolation. The truth revealed itself not with slow unraveling, but in a single, brutal moment of clarity. It was a quiet evening when Lisa left her phone on the kitchen table, its screen lighting up an incoming message. My gaze flickered to it, and my pulse quickened when I saw the name: Patrick, her boss. I had never been the jealous type, nor the kind of husband who snooped through his wife's belongings. But something inside me shifted that night, a primal instinct warning me that whatever lay within that phone had the power to change my life forever. With trembling hands, I picked it up and scrolled through the messages. What I saw hollowed me out, leaving behind a void where my heart had once been. Asterisk, last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. Love you too, baby. Let's talk later when he's asleep. Asterisk, the words blurred as tears burned my eyes. But the message was clear. My wife, the woman I had built a life with, had been sharing herself with another man, and not just in passing indulgence. This was a full-blown affair, deliberate and intimate, nurtured in secrecy. Each exchanged word was betrayal. Each affectionate sign-off a wound deeper than any blade could inflict. That night, I confronted Lisa, my chest tight with a cocktail of fury and devastation. I had expected denial, a desperate attempt to explain away the messages, to convince me that it wasn't what it seemed. But what I received instead shattered me even further. She didn't bother lying. She didn't cry or plead. She simply crossed her arms and sighed, as if my pain was an inconvenience. "You're overreacting," she said, her tone clipped with exasperation. Asterisk, it's been going on for a year, but it's not like I was ever going to leave you. You provide stability. Patrick is just fun. Asterisk, it was then that I realized the affair wasn't the worst part. It wasn't the fact that she had been with someone else. It was a casual cruelty in her words, the way she saw me not as a husband or a partner, but as a provider, a foundation to rest upon while she entertained herself elsewhere. I had been reduced to a convenience, an afterthought in the very marriage I had cherished. But the knife twisted deeper when my daughters, my own flesh and blood, came to her defense. "Come on, Dad," Brooke said, her voice gentle yet firm, as if I was the one being irrational. Asterisk, Mom's happy. Why ruin everything over one mistake? Asterisk, Jenna, the daughter I had once held in my arms and promised to protect, nodded in agreement. Asterisk, we knew, but it wasn't a big deal. It's not like you were ever supposed to find out. Asterisk, their words hit me harder than Lisa's betrayal ever could. It wasn't just my wife who had turned against me. It was my children. They had known. They had watched this unfold and had chosen silence. Chosen her over me. At that moment, I realized the depth of my loneliness. I wasn't just losing my marriage. I was losing my family. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, drowning in the weight of my own existence. Lisa expected me to fight, to cling desperately to the wreckage of our marriage. She assumed I would forgive, that I would stay because I had no other choice. But she was wrong. The next morning, I placed the divorce papers on the kitchen table, a stark declaration of my resolve. Her reaction was as dismissive as ever. At first, "You're joking," she scoffed, rolling her eyes. Asterisk, "You can't just erase our family over this." Asterisk, but as the days passed and she realized I was serious, the panic set in, the apologies came, the gaslighting followed. Asterisk, "It was just a mistake. You can't just throw everything away." Asterisk, but I had already let go. Jenna and Brooke thought I was bluffing, but when I called them together and made it clear that I was cutting ties, not just with Lisa, but with them too, the reality set in. "I'm done," I told them, my voice devoid of warmth. Asterisk, with her, with both of you. You made your choice, now live with it. Asterisk, their faces twisted with shock. "Dad, you don't mean that," Jenna whispered. I slid an envelope across the table. Asterisk, "I'm changing my will. You get nothing." Asterisk, Brooke let out a nervous laugh. Asterisk, "You can't be serious. We're your daughters." Asterisk, I met her gaze with finality that left no room for argument. Asterisk, "No, you're her daughters. You made that clear." Asterisk, Lisa lost the life she had taken for granted. Patrick disappeared as quickly as he'd entered our world, and I walked away with my dignity intact. The month that followed were filled with unanswered calls, messages left in vain. I had moved away, rebuilt my life, and found love again in a woman named Claire. She, too, knew heartbreak, and together we created something real, something honest. 3 years later, my past came knocking once more. Jenna stood at my doorstep, her face raw with regret. "Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling. For the first time, I saw real sorrow in her eyes. She confessed everything. How she and Brooke had been wrong. How they had enabled Lisa's betrayal. How she had lost not just a father, but a hero. Her words stirred something within me. But I had already made my peace. As she left, Claire touched my hand, grounding me in the present. "Asterisk, how you feel?" Asterisk, she asked softly. I exhaled, a weight lifting from my chest. Asterisk, it's not my burden to carry anymore. Asterisk, for the first time in years, I felt free,